Why is God powerless to forgive people after they die? And when I think about that question, I think of a woman I knew named Margaret. And I never knew what I was going to get when I went to see Margaret because she had Alzheimer's. And half the time I would go and visit Margaret, and she would tell me a terrible story about something that had happened a long time ago. Her husband had been at war. It was World War II. She had had an affair with someone who was helping with their farm work. And she had become pregnant, and she had terminated the pregnancy because her husband was coming home, and she didn't want to be caught having had this affair. She carried this secret in her heart for many, many years. It must have happened when she was in her 20s. She was in her 80s when I knew her. She had never confessed this to anyone until she started to realize she was going to die at some point. And then she began to tell me about it. And I told her she was forgiven. I told her Christ had come to save her. I told her God loved her and God is love. And she would believe it when I spoke with her, but remember she had Alzheimer's. And she never remembered she was forgiven. And so half the time when I came to visit her, she would confess again what she had done. And again, and again, and I would tell her she was forgiven, and I would give her communion, and I would talk with her and love her, and she would forget. Her brain wasn't working. The other half of the time I would go to visit her, and she would just be angry and mad, yelling at the nurses, yelling at the aides, yelling at me, yelling at God. And when Margaret died, I don't know which frame of mind she was in. Was she one who was at the point where she recognized that she had done things in her life that were damaging and that she wanted forgiveness? Or was she angry?